evening, America, and good morning, Australia. It's the top of the hour, and you're here with Radio Toni, and I'm your host, Toni Lontis. This is The Soul of Business with Damien Papworth. And just a reminder for those that you that are listening on live on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, we have Payo ready to take your questions, comments, and send you links from anything that we talk about on the show today. Don't forget that you can listen to the replays of the show on YouTube and Binge TV across the US and the Toni TV channel app available on all LG, Roku, and Samsung smart TVs worldwide. Now, this is the fourth in our series of shows with entrepreneur and businessman Damien Papworth. And we're going to be talking about a new way of doing business. And as Damien says, we want to change the world. Now, Damien came on the show last week and it was his birthday. And I didn't know. So I think that we should all have a round of applause for Damien for his belated birthday last week. Happy belated birthday, Damien.
Thanks, Toni.
Now, this series of shows is about a different way of doing business. And I'm really glad that I get to partner with Damien and tell you about the soul of business, because from a personal perspective, I believe that in the next 10 years, we will see a different way of doing things. I think humanity will become more connected to soul and spirit. And in doing so, we will evolve into nicer beings. And at the head of that is Damien's desire to change the world and change the way that we do business. And just for clarity, I am doing Damien's first course of seeker training under the Soul of Business Academy. And I have to say, it's life-changing. So welcome back to the show, Damien. We're delighted to have you here. And today we're going to walk through the framework of the soul of business. Last week, we talked about the universal laws and how they interact with business and life. And this week, we're going to be talking further around the soul of business framework, so the audience gets to understand this amazing journey that this training takes you on. Damien, you've got slides to share with us today, so I'll just check that. Yep. Do you want to start the show with the slides, or shall we talk first?
Why don't we do the slides and maybe let that guide the conversation?
Fantastic. Okay, so we'll just check that Damien can share those slides. Yes, there we go. I love the simplicity. That's fantastic, Damien. Thank you. So on our So today, listeners, we're going to be talking about the framework that Damien developed around the soul of business. And it's a wonderfully simple concept that shows you the interlinking components of that framework. So Damien, in the center, the very center, of course, is the soul of business itself.
Yeah. So we'll get to the center at the end, because that's where everything hangs together. But yeah, so the idea is obviously with this, I mean, this is a pretty simple Venn diagram. And obviously when all elements come together, something very special happens. And that's what we're trying to get to.
Agreed. Let's start right from the center of right of the framework, which is a component called fulfilled purpose. Damien, in terms of purpose and business, in traditional business, we don't always tap into our purpose. And so I want to know why it's important that we should start with fulfilled purpose.
Yeah, so I think when I think about business, a business of purpose, or bringing purpose into business, I think that with the people that we are, the people that want to bring this stuff to the world, we usually have a very Intuitively, we know when things are right and wrong, and when things are working and not. We do well to listen to our intuition.
Yes.
So when I start, the first three elements of the soul of business, I think I really want us, because what we do is we get told not to listen to it because there's facts and figures, and so we
Yes.
make decisions
Yes.
that aren't guided by our intuition. Um,
Yes.
and I actually, at some point, I actually started, because I kept on doing this. I kept on being told and getting guidance to do the right thing for my direction,
Yeah.
and I'd ignore it and do what business normal stuff requires,
Yep.
and
Yep.
it'd be a disaster. And I actually started on my phone. I started keeping notes. My intuition was this, and I did this
Yes.
because of these
Uh-huh.
reasons. And the reasons were always logical, but it never worked. Like 99% of the times, it was the wrong decision if I'd have just gone with my gut. And I
Yes.
think the sense of fulfilling our purpose. So the first three elements of the solar business framework is really tapping into that wisdom that we have innate with all of us. And
Yeah.
going down a path of fulfilling our purpose is super important. Like, we know when we're fulfilling our purpose, it sort of wells up within us. We see it around us
Yeah.
and we feel amazing because that's what we're here to do. We enter that
Yeah.
state of flow where we're just doing what we're supposed to be here for. So that's the
Yes.
first thing we really look for. Are we getting that sense of fulfilled purpose? And if we're not, while we're in business with our purpose work, we need to change something.
Yeah.
So that's the first
So that's
element.
the first.
Yeah,
Yep.
so that's the feeling that wells up inside us. I think we're all pretty good at understanding what that one means. The next one's a bit
Yeah.
harder for us.
Yes. Yes. And the next component is called appreciated value. And
Correct.
this is where soulpreneurs and people with gifts in business get a little off track. And Damien, I want you to tell the audience about appreciated value.
Yeah, so appreciated value is, like we've talked about over all the previous weeks, a little bit about how, flows of money and resources is actually a flow of energy, a state of karma. What we put out comes
Mm-hmm.
back. I
Yes.
think we lose sight of that because, in our industry, we're working from the soul. We're working from the heart. We're
Yes.
giving to the world what we're supposed to be giving, and it feels like sometimes it feels like we're cheapening our gift by expecting money back, which is, money's a thing that has connotations like the root of all evil and stuff like that. So when we take this transactional thing back, it doesn't feel great. But it doesn't feel
Yeah.
great because our mind's in the wrong spot. Our mind thinks it's a root of all evil, or our mind thinks that, I've had someone tell me that they've taken a vow of poverty in a previous life and it doesn't work taking money because of that. But we've got these things going on that taking isn't a good feeling. And part of it is because we're here to serve, we're in service, and service is about
Yes.
giving, not taking. But the problem,
Yeah.
there's two problems with that. We really need to get the appreciated value element 100% right, because there's 2 points to it. The first point is for the people we serve. If we don't
Yes.
take back fair value for what we give, they won't value what we give. And the problem
Yes.
with that is that, it's our responsibility to give our gifts to people. It's their responsibility to
Yes.
do something with it, to make sure that they get the healing they need, or they get the learning they need, or they get the development they need. What we give
Yeah.
actually gives people an opportunity, but it's not our responsibility to do that responsibility. It's theirs. Now, if they
Yeah.
don't value what we give because they don't actually give us value back, they're not going to do their part of the
Yes.
job because they don't
Ah.
feel valued. So it's really, really important that, if you paid $5 for a course, you probably wouldn't do it. If it was given to you for free, you probably wouldn't do it. If you spent $3,000 on
Yes.
it, you're going to make it work. You're going to make it,
Yes.
you're going to go
Yes.
through it, because it hurt a little bit to give that up, that 3,000, it would cost you
Yes.
something. So, and
Yes.
this is really important with appreciated value, that, we're all about completing circles of development, completing circles of growth, completing circles of healing. And if we
Yeah.
don't get that value back, the circle won't be complete by them, and it's actually counterintuitive because we give up our value for nothing or for little. They get
Yeah.
zero value because they don't do their bit. So the little we do
So it's
charge,
important.
yeah, absolutely. The
It's
little bit we do
important.
charge is actually too much because they don't do their
Yeah.
bit. They don't get the value because they don't close the circle. So it's important we value ourselves properly and get that value back because that means that the people we serve get the full value of our service also. It's all connected.
Yeah.
Now,
Absolutely.
and the second part of appreciated value is, one of the first things we talked about is that quote from David Orr that inspires me, about the world doesn't need more
Yes.
successful people. It needs, the healers, the dreamers, the storytellers and lovers of all kind. That quote there. And, one of
Yeah.
the premises for the soul of business is that if it's us that are successful, imagine what the world will look like.
Yeah.
Now, the picture of us being successful is us drawing resources and influence so that we can do more.
Yes.
Now, if we're not getting the appreciated value, we're not going to be drawing these resources to us. So if we're not drawing resources to us, we're going to have a second job or a third job. We're not going to be living in
Yeah.
our purpose. We're not going to be able to grow. We're not going to be able to, invest in that healing temple we want to invest in because we don't have the
Yeah.
resources. So we're not actually
Uh-huh.
living our purpose to fulfillment. So really, really important that we draw these resources to us and do that properly.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's all tied in with appreciated value, which
Correct.
links to your purpose and then links to the next element, which is change that matters. And Damien, how do you determine change that matters?
So if you think about fulfilled purpose, what's going to make us feel that way?
Uh-huh.
It's going to be making change in people's
Making change.
making change that
Yeah.
matters. So, sometimes, we think about, Mother Teresa, for example, and her making change that matters. It doesn't have to be that. It
It
just
doesn't have to be that big, does it?
No, it has to be that heartfelt thank you with the tear in the eye because you gave your soul to someone and,
Yeah.
it made a change, like make a massive change. And it could be sitting down with a
Yeah.
coffee, it could be a treatment, it could be, you know, a music lesson, it could be helping someone get past something that they're stuck with, it could be a conversation on the phone, it doesn't matter, but when we absolutely see that we've made change that matters, that's what feeds our sense of fulfillment. That's what, and when we're doing it in our purpose work, that's when we start to feel that, we're doing what we're supposed to be doing on the earth. We're here, we're doing
Yeah.
what we're supposed to be doing, we're living our purpose. So
And
these
this
three, sorry, Tony.
Sorry, Damien, this comes back to your purpose. So the soul of business is about your purpose and your desire to make change in the world and your desire to do business in a different way that's less heartless and less transactional. And those first three elements all feed in together. And what happens when we don't get these first three elements right in business, Damien?
Yeah, so I think to speak about what happens when they don't get right, let's speak first about what happens when they do get right. For
Yeah.
me, when I see how I see change that matters, we talked about this last week, I think, is Tony,
Mm.
when you send me a text message saying, I did what you said and I got a client and I'm so excited. That kind of thing, when you get proof that something works and that's fed back to me, those messages really feed me. But what
Yeah.
happens? What happens is, so you feed me with that change that matters. You
Yeah.
prove to me that I'm making change that matters. That feeds my sense of
Yeah.
fulfilling purpose. And then I see the money flow in, which means that I can do more marketing or
Yes.
I can build the next course or whatever. So that starts to
Yes.
fit into place. So what happens is we end up on this, spiral of growing momentum, growing momentum, growing momentum, because when we get these little hints that we're on the right path because people are giving us positive feedback, that gives us inspiration to
Mm-hmm.
keep going. And then we do a bit more. When we do a bit more, all of a
Yeah.
sudden a bit more money comes in the door, or more resources come in the door, or more of something comes in the door. So we have more of what we need to do the next step. So we do more.
Yes.
And then we get more feedback that we're on the right path because we're impacting people's lives, and that makes us feel like that we're fulfilling our purpose, and it just starts spiraling and
Yes.
spiraling and spiraling. It's super, super exciting, and you know, you lose hours of
Absolutely, it is.
You lose hours of sleep because you don't need them. You know, you're so inspired and enthusiastic and energetic that you're bouncing out of bed hours before you thought you would. So
Yes,
that's what
yes,
happens when it gets right. You get on this real spiral of momentum. When you lose one, it's a block. Everything stops. So you lose appreciated
yeah.
value. You're giving all your time and you're not getting resources back. What happens? Well, you need to go get a job so you can, buy your groceries.
Keep going. Mhm,
So it pulls
mhm.
that away, and the spiral works the other way. It goes backwards. If you're not making change, feel like you're not making any change in the world, that's going to completely remove your sense that you're living a purpose. If you lose your sense of
Yeah,
fulfilling a purpose, you just lose interest and you go find something else. So you've either got this spiraling momentum building, 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 which is super exciting and inspiring and all that kind of stuff, or you basically have a blockage and things will either stop
and you've
completely
got
and
to
you move
do
on to
something
something else,
about that.
or
Yeah,
you have to
yeah.
change something. That's right.
So,
So
Damien,
that's
if those elements are right, there's an energy and momentum around your business, isn't there?
absolutely, you'll end up with this massive fire in your belly that you just keep going and going and going. And things that get in the way are little things that you just find solutions to and they don't even matter.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, you still have stress and all that kind of stuff, but it just comes and goes, comes and goes, comes and goes,
Yes,
and it's all just
yeah.
gets run over by this amazing sense of drive and momentum and purpose and gratitude and joy for what's going on.
Which is a very good place to be doing life from.
It's a very good place to
Just
be
a
doing
good
anything
place.
from. It is absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Damien, the next big chunk of the soul of business is around transformational alignment. And it's about aligning our minds, hearts, and souls with the business needs. How does this make our business grow?
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So the first three topics, I guess, they're about us, what we should be feeling that makes us tap into that.
Uh-huh.
How we tap into our intuition to know we're on the right track. What are the feelings that we
Yes.
get? Why are we doing it? Because we get these amazing feelings that keep, that just reaffirm to us that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. The next three
Yep.
blocks is really the what do we do to make it all work and hang it all together.
Yep.
So
Hmm.
transformational alignment is it's about us. It's about what we need to do to make sure the things that we do are feeding fulfilled purpose, appreciated value, and change that matters, and we're not getting in our own way. That's really
Yes.
important. It's sort of like the professional development side of running a business. And all good
Yeah.
business leaders, they constantly renew themselves and learn more and learn more and learn more. So that's what we're talking
Yes.
about here. And there's real business tools on how to do that really effectively. So we don't do like we do sort of mindfulness stuff and things like that, but we're basing everything in real business concepts that keep us
Yes.
aligned with what we're supposed to be doing.
And the solar business is filled with little tools that help you to do this. And they're great, I have to say, audience. The tools that are part and parcel of the soul and business are really helpful. Even if you've been in business for a while, they're incredibly helpful. I know because I've been doing them. Damien, so the transformational alignment, then the next big chunk in the soul of business is abundance audience. And it's
Correct.
about the community that we serve and how we attract the right people. Do you want to tell the audience about what abundant or getting tongue twisted today, what your
Uh,
abundance audience chunk in the soul of business is?
yeah, so abundant audience is basically, are we serving the right people? And that's all it comes down to. So the right people that we serve are the people that really value what we do. The people that value what we do, the people that implement it into their lives, so they get the change that they need, and then they reflect the value back to us in an appropriate manner.
Yes.
So, it's quite often we go down a path of serving the wrong people.
Yeah.
And we end up getting stuck on a handful of clients that chew up all our resources. And when that happens, it's because there's a value problem. They don't value what we do, or
Yeah.
there's an entitlement problem. They think that they're entitled to stuff, which isn't theirs to have. And both of those sort of things can, and quite often, to be fair to them, when that happens in
Yeah.
our business, it's because we've brought it into our business. We've let it in, either because of a
Yeah.
value problem we have about our own stuff, or it's a boundary problem, or it's a fear problem.
Yeah.
They're probably the three things.
Yeah.
Fear, I need this cash. Geez, we went to a stage when we were looking at our books and we had a bunch of clients that were like 3 months overdue with their payments. But we kept serving them because we liked the figures coming in and into the bookkeeping software. We
Yeah.
need this revenue, but we weren't ever getting it. So we kept
Yes.
investing in serving these people that weren't valuing us by paying us, and the problem just gets bigger. And that was a pretty easy example to do with money, but it's the same with time. As soon as someone doesn't pay
Yeah.
you, you're investing more of your time that you should be bringing more resources in, but you actually invest that time chasing money that should just be in your bank account. That's not good.
Yeah.
People who feel entitled to things that they haven't bought, you do a group
Yeah.
session and people want to take that off to one-on-one coaching via direct messages. That's a
Yes.
problem. So, because
Yes.
that burns up time, but it also breaks down community. So, the abundant audience piece is really important about being aware of who you're bringing in, what that ideal
Hmm.
person is, and how does that impact, what you're trying to build in a point of view of legacy. What are you going to leave behind? Because if there's a
Yeah.
blockage of resources, time or financial resources coming into your business, it's going to stop you from creating the thing that you should be creating. So that's why abundant
Yeah.
audience is super important.
Yeah. And sometimes it's about learning to say no, or and along with learning to say no is to sometimes you have to um, uh, cut off clients that don't serve that underlying purpose of your business. If they're not paying, then they're not valuing you. So you need to work out a way to um, uh, cut them off from your business so that you can attract more of what you want, more of the clients that you love to serve. Isn't that right?
No, 100%. It's yeah, we can either. So the strength of your business is always in the clients that you reject, the people that you don't let be served.
Yes.
So yeah, and
Yes.
then you know the triggers of who you should let go, or you can re-educate them too. With bad
Yes.
clients, you can re-educate. But it's about boundaries. It's about not being afraid, and it's about saying
Uh-huh.
no. And the
Yes.
triggers are entitlement of your time, entitlement to exist outside your parameters of trade, um,
Yes.
and just lack of gratitude generally. I think because if there's a lack of value, if they've got a lack of sense of value for you, they won't be taking advantage of what you offer anyway. So you can see that
Yeah.
they don't do their homework kind of thing. They don't do the
Yeah.
exercises that they're supposed to do, or they
Yep.
don't take their
Yep.
supplements, or they don't do the
Follow
back.
the steps.
That's exactly it. So that all just shines through, and it's a simple conversation. Well, you haven't paid me. I can't work with you anymore. Or you
Yeah.
know what? You keep doing this extra time. I need to charge you more now. So instead
Yeah.
of doing it in a group, you're doing direct messages. That's $150 an hour. Or you haven't done
Yep.
your homework. Don't speak to me until you've done your homework. If it takes 6 months, that's when you come back to me. You just make rules and you stick to your
Yes.
boundaries, and then people respect you
Absolutely.
more, and then there's space for you to bring more of what you desire
To
into your life.
yeah.
So that's
Damien,
abundant.
the next yeah, and the next one is one of my favorites and the topic I love for you to talk about, and I love listening to you talk about this, is impactful legacy. Tell us
Yeah.
about impactful legacy.
So just before we do, what I want to point out is,
Yes.
so I've just stepped back a slide. So when you get the
Yes.
transformational alignment, when you get your stuff in the right place, and you apply that to an abundant audience,
Yeah.
you see that's where we get the appreciated value. You've got this abundant audience and you value yourself and value
Yes.
everything you do. So those two together create this idea of appreciated value. As we go to impactful legacy, you'll see that the fillers there, the fulfilled purpose, is directly related
Uh-huh.
between transformational alignment and impactful legacy. If you create, so impactful legacy
Yeah.
is creating something that's more than us. We're here,
Yeah.
we're living in purpose. What the gifts we have to offer the world are more than just us. They're supposed to make the world a better
Yeah.
place. The world's not a better
Yeah.
place if we leave nothing behind. What we've done is we've just served our time. So if we're
Yeah.
here to make the world a better place, we have to leave something behind. And that's what impactful legacy is.
Uh-huh.
What are the things we need to do to make sure this survives us? So if you think
Yeah.
about us getting our stuff right,
Yeah.
so much to the extent that we leave something behind, that's how fulfilled would you feel? I've retired.
Absolutely.
I can see this thing living beyond me. I've retired and I can see it. Everyone
Yeah.
who's, and they still use my name in the business because, they've got
Yeah.
that photo of me on the wall because I founded it. I started this. We don't have to do that. Obviously, you see that on Netflix. But you know what I mean? It's like the business
Yeah.
remembers you fondly for years after you leave it. And how
Yeah.
fulfilling would that
And
be?
it's something, and if your kids, Damien, decide that they want to go into business, then the that's something that's transferable to them, that then
Absolutely.
creates ongoing journey and growth for them as well.
Yeah, so this is one of the there are so many different ways for a business to survive you, but one of the most beautiful ways is the mother passing her wisdom to a daughter, and the daughter takes
Yeah.
carries on the legacy to the next generation. All that kind of stuff becomes possible when we have the right structures in the world, and we've done things in
Yeah.
a way that can be lifted and shifted onto the next iteration.
Yeah.
So that's what impactful legacy is about. And obviously, if you've got this thing that's going to survive you and that's being applied to an
Yeah.
abundant audience, well, how's that for
Yes.
making change that matters?
Yeah. Yeah.
It moves from this
Absolutely.
idea of a massage person, hands on a body, unknitting a
Healing.
knot, yeah, to
Yeah.
like a multi-generational healing
Franchise.
reality. Franchise, that's it. But
Yeah.
that's franchise is way beyond us. We're not on one massage bed
Yeah.
anymore. We're actually guiding massage beds throughout the world. This is what we're talking about
Yeah.
impactful legacy. How do we make it more than us? So,
Yeah.
we are, and applying it to an abundant audience, people that value it, change that matters.
Yeah. And that impactful legacy doesn't have to be huge. It can actually just be in the form of uh, a book about your particular techniques that work in releasing energy, or that's a simplified legacy, but it's still impactful legacy, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's impactful legacy is about what we leave behind.
Yeah,
So
fantastic.
when people have a traditional career,
Uh-huh.
when we work through corporate, we don't really leave behind anything. What we do is we retire, and if we leave behind anything, it's
Yeah.
property, it's a house, it's property, it's what's left in our superannuation accounts. It's
Uh-huh.
not something that's going to exist beyond us. And that's
Yeah.
oversimplified too. I know, well, what about the
Yeah.
education I gave my children so that they can do their part? Yeah, that's fine, but it's still not the same. It's not the same, this amazing thing
Yeah.
that I built that survives me.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's pretty good reason to keep working on this journey in business, isn't it, Damien?
Absolutely.
I want to switch now to talking about the other elements that surround the graphic and surround the framework of the soul of business. And the first of those is another one of my favorite topics, which is manifestation. And the other way of looking at manifestation is kind of like goal setting, isn't it?
It
Goal
is.
setting on steroids.
So what we're doing now is basically we've looked at why we do things and what we want to bring when tapping into our intuition and what it feels like when everything's working right. So we looked at that. Now, then we
Uh-huh.
looked at what we need to do to make that work. So now we've got the rings on the outside of this model here, and this is basically
Yes,
the subject matter. This is the subject matter of the Solar Business coursework. So with the
it
Seeker
is.
course, we go through each of these topics twice. First one's
Yes,
manifestation. You'll notice that the language I use is very purpose work language, but behind each one is
yes,
very powerful business concepts
yes,
that are presented in a way that we can actually use, and it really enhances and amplifies our connection to what we're doing rather than switches
yes.
us 100% into the left side of our brain and we're looking at data. We want to maintain a real connection to what we're doing. So manifestation, that's basically in the business world we'll call that a business plan, goal
Yeah,
setting and a business plan. So, but goal setting business plan, what we're actually doing is trying to manifest what we want to bring to the world. That's what
yeah,
it's about. First part is
yeah.
create real strong intentions about what we want to do and connect them with a strong emotion and put them in
Mm-hmm.
front of us every day so that we see it every day.
Yeah,
So that's what manifestation is. So let's create some real framework so we can, be really clear with our intention, put some real emotion behind it, and connect with it every day. That's what we do with manifestation.
absolutely. And the next little piece that we talk about is mindfulness. And I remember when I was starting to do the Seeker course in the Soul of Business and thought, how do we link mindfulness to business? But it works beautifully, Damien, the way that you explain it in the Soul of Business, how mindfulness links to business. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, so mindfulness. So there's two parts to mindfulness, I guess. We do a little bit of
Yeah,
mindfulness in every single topic, and
yeah,
what that is simply about understanding why we need to do this topic, and understanding that though in a an emotional way. So getting a real connection, a feeling connection to why we're doing every element of the training. And that's important.
yeah,
So that we have little bits of mindfulness each time. We try to get a feeling of like just a negative feeling about what happens if we're not going to do this. So we
uh-huh,
can understand how that feels, and then overlay that with or remove that and replace it with a feeling of, well, this is why we should be doing it, and it feels good, so let's go and do it.
yes,
Um,
yeah,
and sometimes it's important. I find it quite often it's important to actually fill that gap. If we don't do it, when if we
mm-hmm,
do do it, because it's not just quite often we go from a baseline to doing it. There's a small gap, but then so we don't actually feel the full emotional impact of not doing things. Because if
yes,
we don't do stuff, it actually goes the other way. It doesn't keep us at that baseline.
yeah,
So we do that, but then also look, business is a roller coaster ride emotionally. It's challenging. It's one of those things you get such incredibly immense personal growth because it pushes every single trigger that you
incredible.
have. I know, and what we usually do is we get stressed and burnt out. We don't actually sit in awareness as to what's going on. And so
Mm-hmm,
often there are just tiny adjustments we can make, and those adjustments come through awareness. And when we make
yeah,
those adjustments, um, the world becomes a better place, and we sit in that, we sit back into that place where we can make the change we need to change. So we spend some time specifically with mindfulness, and usually,
yeah,
uh, with the Seeker training, one of them is specifically about imposter syndrome, where we
yes.
understand where our self doubt lies and create tools to, transform that to something that we can really
That
use.
doubt.
Yeah, that's it. That becomes part of our
Yeah,
toolbox for development, though. It doesn't become something that talks us
yeah,
out of doing things. We just use that to recognize where we need to grow. But the other part too
yeah,
is like the other part's a bit more. Here's a specific tool, and it's more about time because the way we use time
yeah.
is
This is a good
something
one.
that, yeah, something that we're completely unaware about. And there's two things that the way we use time does, and one is it impacts the way um, we bring value into our business and we serve. And the other thing it does is it impacts the way we feel at the end of the day. You know,
Yes.
it's so people don't get burnt out because they've got too much to do. People don't get overwhelmed because they've got too much to do. People get to those states of mental health because they're doing the wrong stuff. They're doing the wrong things.
Yes.
So what we do with mindfulness is we look at in the minutiae what we're doing and how it impacts both the business and how it impacts our state of mind, and make the adjustments as we go in that way. So this the mindfulness session, the first mindfulness session, the guys that have gone through the training already, you know, it literally is chalk and cheese. I can see who did that session really diligently and who didn't, and that's probably one of the most impactful modules in the whole framework.
I was just going to say, there's a particular exercise in that section of the training that has a tool that is just fantastic, and I keep going back and redoing it and changing it and up.
I do it myself every 3 months. With everything every 3 months I go back. It's called Your Time, Your Passion.
Yes.
And I mean, the name of the tool tells you what we're supposed to be doing.
Fantastic. It's a fantastic tool. So if you just do the solid business to get that tool, I tell you, it's absolutely worth it. Moving on from mindfulness, the next part is called hearing your answers. What's this one about, Damien?
So I think, you know, this is sort of similar to last week when we talked about the things we know about the universe. And, you know, we know that we get all the answers we need. You know, we get all the answers we need. We can sit and put an intention out to the universe and we get the answers we need. In business, this is more so than anywhere in the world. Like through reporting, you know, you don't have to go and wait for the universe to give you answers. You just have to, you know, lift the hood basically, and you've got an answer. You know, like really, really simple things. How much money came into the bank account this week? That tells us something. Is it enough? No. What am I going to do? So, hearing your answers is really important. And you know, with Seeker, we don't go into in-depth financial reporting, things like that.
No.
We look at some really meaningful things that can tell us a lot about how we're valuing our time, where we're maybe chasing the wrong things, or chasing shiny objects rather than chasing the opportunities that really count. So just real purposeful things that can help us today without getting us bogged down in the confusion of data. But hearing it's so important, and it's literally all there. If I have a challenge, I can, in any business, I can just go and say, well, this is the information I need, and it will tell me my next step. So really important.
And then the next, we're going around the circle, and the next component is around our
surrendering your purpose.
Surrendering.
So this is we're in abundant audience now. This is how do we attract the people to us that we're supposed to be serving, the right people. And you know, in business we call it marketing. You know, I don't understand
surrendering to your purpose is so much better than marketing, because marketing is
I don't understand the word marketing, and I've been in marketing for 20 years and I just don't understand what the word means. I don't know where it derived from, but you know,
that's a good point.
It's like it's meaningless, like so much of the terminology in business is, what does this mean? But you know, we have this concept with intentions, when setting intentions, that when we set intentions we want to manifest, you have to surrender it. You can't hold on to it so tightly, because you do that, you strangle it and it never comes. At some point you have to surrender it, and you have to wait for the universe to do its thing. But that's marketing. That's what marketing is. We put our messages out and then we wait. We have to let it go, and we've got to wait to see what comes back. And so that's so surrendering your purpose is a lot about how we present ourselves to the world in a sense that we call marketing, and what are the messages, and you know, what's coming back, and how do we refine that to get better and better results over time. So that's what we talk about, surrendering your purpose. And it's about not just getting more clients, it's also about making sure we get the right clients. We get the
Yeah.
ones that contribute to what we're trying to create, not just,
Mm-hmm.
there for an ounce of flesh kind of thing.
That's right. But again, surrendering your purpose is a much more apt description than
Yeah.
marketing.
That's it. We've got something to give to the world. Let's put it out there, and then we'll wait and see what the universe brings back. And
Yes.
if we
Yeah.
combine that with hearing our answers, this time we didn't get much back, then we can say, well, why don't we
Yes.
change this one word and see if that makes an impact?
Yeah. Yeah. Does test and try come into that sort of conversation when we're talking about surrendering our purpose? That whole process of going to see if this works. If it doesn't work, then I need to try this, and that's that whole just changing a message, a word in a message, a word in the way that you present yourself and your business.
So I think there's probably one phrase you've heard from me more than any other phrases, Toni, and that is no attachment to outcomes. Let's approach everything with a sense of curiosity.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
everyone's tired of me saying that, but that's what we do with everything. If we're here to do
Yeah.
our purpose, like we get tested. The universe tests us. How much do you want this? How much do you
Yeah.
actually believe that this is important? How important is it to you?
Yeah.
How much do you believe in yourself? We get tested all the time.
Yes.
Now, if we sit here and say that didn't work, this is too hard. You know what? It's not even worth it because this one go at marketing didn't work. That's crazy.
Yeah.
We know the universe
Yeah.
tests us. No matter what we do, we get
Yeah.
tested all the time. So we have to try different things.
Yeah.
When something doesn't work, the answer to that is, well, it didn't work. What do I try next? What do I try
Mm.
next? What do I try next?
That's
And we
that's
keep
right.
trying,
That's right.
and that's never ending. And all of a sudden, whoa, what did I do then? That
Yeah.
was amazing. And then
Yeah.
you do
Yeah.
more of that. So
Exactly. Do more of that. Do more of that works.
yeah, and you
Um,
keep that as
the
your
next,
control. You keep that as your control thing,
yeah,
and then you keep still testing new things to try to beat that control set,
yeah,
kind of the control element. But you
yeah,
never let go of that thing that's worked the best.
yeah,
You keep that forever.
yeah. And sometimes too, Damien, it's about waiting. Sometimes it's about waiting. So yes, we've done all that. It worked really, really. It was fun to do. It felt really good. But then sometimes you have to wait, don't you? Sometimes the results take a period of time, and you have to keep going on with other things, and then suddenly, bang, there's the result.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So this is probably the thing that causes me most anxiety in my business life, and that's
yeah,
impatience. Like I see how
yeah,
things, how good they can be, but and I'm just so driven to get to these spots, but it's not here,
yes.
and you've got to wait, and you've got to
Yeah,
do something, then you've got to wait, you've got to do something, and then the bank gets in the way. How annoying is that?
yeah,
So,
yeah,
but this is it. So, but
yeah,
if we didn't actually and I'm very, very aware of when I go down that path of just immense impatience. Um, but this comes
I
back.
understand that. I absolutely understand impatience,
Yeah,
and I think that's why the universe causes me to wait, because it's
yeah,
trying to
absolutely.
teach me patience.
But if you didn't go through those impatient times, you didn't go through the work, would you
Yeah,
actually get that sense of
yeah,
fulfilled purpose at the end? I don't think we would. So
I
I think we
agree.
have to
Absolutely.
experience that. Yeah. All
Damien,
right.
what's the next element in?
Circle. So next I want to talk about circle.
Yeah,
And this is like a concept that we all have, particularly in our industry. We've got this idea of our sacred circles or our sister circles or our men's circles, our brother
yeah,
circles, community circles, that whole idea of, we get together with those closest to us around the community fire to discuss the issues we need to deal with. And this is
yeah,
something, as far as creating an abundant audience, this is something that we tend, it just happens. This is what I hear so often when we run through some ideas around using our circle to reach people in a better way, to reach the
yeah,
people we need to serve, using those closest to us to reach the people who need us who don't know we're here. And
yeah,
this is as a form of bringing people to us as a strategy or a method for doing this. If we all did this right, if we all did this properly, we wouldn't need any other marketing strategy. We wouldn't need social media if we did this one thing right. Like, it's so big, it's so powerful. And I mentioned last week, I said, Toni, at the end of every time you speak to someone in a business sense, ask them two things. Do you have any ideas for me? Do you know anyone I should meet? If we did that with every important meeting, we would go so far. But when I talk about circle, I talk about two things really. And one is, who are the people that we're aligned with already that are giving us, they're connecting us with the people we need to connect with. And the problem is this happens all the time, but it happens intuitively. It's a thing that happens. It's not a thing we do. So we need to make it a habit in our business. We need to make it a habit. We need to create structures that make this habitual, so we're doing it every day. And one idea that I suggest to everyone is block out 15 minutes a day, 15, 20 minutes a day, and you do this for 15, 20 minutes every single day. And the idea is that where things work intuitively, you make it habit. You make it not intuitively. You don't do it. You don't have it as a thing that happens. You make it a thing that you do. So if everyone did, we call it partnerships at the start. The first time we talk about circle, we talk about partnerships. If everyone did partnerships deliberately, your business is $1 million in 12 months. Basically, all of a sudden, your problems aren't about bringing clients in. Your problems are all about managing the work. Your whole world changes. But doing something like that, having a close inner connection that you're going to make deliberately about building abundance, feels like we're making our relationships transactional, so people shy away from it, which is insane, because what we're actually shying away from is living our purpose.
Really
so that's
important. I didn't realize how important circle was until I started doing the Solar Business Seeker training, and then started to realize that those partnerships that we create are immensely important. Damien, what's the next component?
Right, the next one's tribe. And tribe is, what we do with tribe is we look at the people we serve and the people we can serve to the edges of the world, basically. So all the people we could potentially serve, that's our tribe. In business, we talk about, we call it a database. What a lovely word to talk about when we're talking about the people we want to help and serve and make change with. Let's call them database. But so tribe's about building a tribe, drawing people to us that we can serve. And also a lot of it's about, there's a real wisdom that our tribe holds, that we can get real guidance and direction from their wisdom as far as interacting with us, but also about the needs they have. So we do a bit of work around tapping into our tribal wisdom and what guidance that gives us with what we need to do in business.
Damien, what's some practical ideas around connecting with your tribe?
All right, so one of the most common things that we find with people that are starting business, a massage therapist has, people that do massage, if you're going to get healing at a massage, you should be coming back every 4 weeks. Massage therapist is just starting, quite often they won't book someone in for 4 weeks. They've got this internal thing that says, I don't want to force my stuff onto you. I'm afraid I don't want to force my stuff onto you. So what happens is I get a massage, and at 5 weeks I start tightening up again. And then I make a phone call at 6 weeks because I was busy, and it's 9 weeks before, or 7 or 8 or 9 weeks before I actually get in to get my next massage because of the way time flows. And I've come back 4 or 5 times, and this is actually a real life example for me. I've come back to the same massage therapist 4 or 5 times, and I said to her, why aren't you booking me in? I should be coming back every 4 weeks, and I'm not, because you're not booking me in. I don't want to push my stuff onto you. I don't want to be pushy. And I'm like, well, you're not being pushy. You're being of disservice.
Making my life easier.
Well, if you book me in, you make me easier. You make my life easier. But I'm also getting the healing that I'm supposed to be getting. I'm not actually. I'm doing start stop because you're not booking me in. So it's actually a disservice. I'm giving you money. I'm giving you my
Yeah.
resources, and I'm not getting
Yeah.
what I should be getting because you've got
Yeah.
this thing inside your mind that is stopping you from actually. What you should be seeing is Damien's come back 4 times. He likes my stuff.
Yes.
Tribal wisdom. He's a
Yes.
repeat customer. He wants my
Yes.
stuff. I'm not pushing my stuff onto him. I'm giving him what he's asking
No.
for.
Yes.
Tribal wisdom. So how do I turn that into a habit? Well, first I change my mindset. Damien needs this. He wants it. It's important to
Yeah.
him. Change my
It
mindset.
keeps me it keeps me healthy and
Yeah.
and happy. Yeah. Yeah.
So change your mindset, and then you align that with a habit, which is
Yes.
before he walks out that door, he has to be booked
Book
in
the
for his
next
next
one in.
appointment before he leaves. So the
Yeah.
person, I explained
Yeah.
this to that person, and I could book in with her the next day when I explained it to her. Within
Yes.
6 months, I couldn't book
Yes.
into her. I could not book in with her within 3 months. So that's the impact.
Ah.
That's the impact it had on her business, and everyone was
Wow.
happier. And then she started
Yes.
putting her prices up. So that's how it works. But our tribes give us these clues all the time. They give us clues all the time.
Mm.
Unasked for reviews on Google. That's our tribe saying we've got it right.
Yes.
Assuming they're 5-star
Yes.
reviews. People that keep
Yeah.
coming back to your event. That's a
Yes.
clue that you've got the event formula right. So what do you do next?
Yeah.
When your events keep booking out, what does that tell you? We get
Yeah.
this wisdom all the time from our tribe. We just need to be aware of it. Take the next step. Make sure we always add the next
Yeah.
thing when we got it right.
Yeah. Damien, the next bit ties into impactful legacy, and it's
Yeah.
about gratitude.
Yes, gratitude. I think we might be running out of time again today, Toni. We've got to
I know. I'm
keep
looking at the
moving.
clock going, oh my God, we're running out of time, and I so wanted to
Yeah.
talk about this stuff.
All right. So gratitude for me, part of this is keeping us heart and soul in what we're doing, and part of it is strategic. So first thing, let's talk
Mm-hmm.
about the strategic stuff. We can leverage off the gratitude of our clients through things like
Mm-hmm.
testimonials, reviews, that kind of stuff to build our business.
Yeah.
That's an important
Yeah.
strategy. And we all know that we go through some really important structures on how to get those well, but also where to use them and how to use them. The bigger part for me,
Yeah.
though, is we burn out and leave businesses when we feel unappreciated and when
Yeah.
we feel jaded and all that type of stuff. And usually we do that because we lose gratitude for what we're doing, or we're not recognizing
Mm.
gratitude that comes to us. We're not sitting in it when it comes. We're not celebrating it.
Yes.
So
Yes.
a lot of what we talk about in this section is creating structures and flows so that we feel gratitude when it's given to us and we feel appreciated, but also we really
And we have to
appreciate it.
receive it.
You have to receive it, but we also have to give it. We have to give it to our business. We have to give it to our progress. We have to give it to what we're creating and how we're serving. So we look a lot at that, because if we're sitting in gratitude, you never burn out. You never feel
Yeah.
overwhelmed. You just love what you're doing. And when you
Yes.
feel appreciated, the same thing. You will never burn out if you're feeling
Yeah.
appreciated. So
Yeah.
that's what we look at with gratitude. It's really important. And there are basic things that we do that everyone knows about, but no one does. So we just try to start doing those.
Yeah. And they become habits within our business.
Absolutely.
The next the next one is a really important part, and it's called being the change.
So being the change, I'll be short and sharp with this one, because what we
Yes.
talk about is, quite often we forget the how we do stuff, how important it is. The essence of what we do, how we make people feel in our
Yes.
business, particularly if we grow and we start bringing people in. People that we bring in to help us serve sometimes bring their own stuff in, and it changes the feel of what we do. So being the change is about proper culture in our business and leadership in our business.
Yeah.
Leading
Yeah.
properly. So some really good structures
Yeah.
around that. We talked a little bit about the purpose promise last week, or might have been the week before.
Another powerful tool within the Soul of Business training finally brings us to alchemy, and I love that you called it alchemy. And it is, as it says, it's about turning lead into gold, isn't it?
That's it. So alchemy is such an exciting word, but it probably we
Yeah.
try to capture all the not exciting parts of business about, and that's like all the things
Yeah.
that we have to do to make this thing real in the world as it is today. So that's what we
Yeah.
look at with the alchemy side of it. So yeah, so it's I think the first week, well, the first time we touch on alchemy, for example, we look at the importance of creating processes around what we're doing and how can we
Yeah.
do that in simple, time-effective ways so that when we bring someone in to help, they know what to do because it's all
They know
there.
what to do.
So
Yeah.
alchemy is, yeah, what are the things we need to do to ground all this in reality? So we have, if we walk away, we have 3 months holiday or we're sick for 6 months, something like that. Someone can actually
The
pick up and keep
business
running.
keeps going.
It keeps going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alchemy.
Absolutely. Really important components. Um,
When it all comes
we
together,
are
it's
go for it,
gold
Damien.
star in the middle.
And it is there in the middle called the
It is.
soul of business.
That's it.
That was a quick overview of the framework around the soul of business. And we are completely out of time because we've kept talking so passionately about this course. I'm passionate about this course because it it changes the way that you think about business. It changes the wording and it changes it into something that's palpable and feels better. And you know that feeling you get around your business is important.
Yeah.
Damien, thank you so much. We will be back next week with another show on the soul of business with Damien Pabworth. In the meantime, I encourage you to jump on to the soul of business academy and have a look at the outline of the training. It's incredibly helpful, particularly for people that are working in the area of energy and as Damien says, your wonderful quote, we need more healers, energy healers, lovers across the world. And if you're interested in doing something with the gifts that you have, jump onto the Soul of Business academy and check out the training. Damien Papworth, thank you so much. We will be
Thanks,
back
Tony.
next week with another Soul of Business and hopefully we'll be able to keep to time. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Damien. Bye for
Thanks.
now.